Hello horse racing fans and welcome back to the annual analysis of the Saudi Cup. This is the fourth year in a row I've done this, and I've done it since the race has begun, so I feel a little bit of an attachment to this very huge race. This year we have 13 horses, and I'm not going to be alone this time for the Saudi Cup, as I have a fellow racetrack industry program student, actually from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me and give it to me this time and opportunity to have this talk with you about this great event, the richest horse racing in the world. So, thank you for having me, Nathan.
No problem. This is Mohanad, not Mohammed. There's a difference.
Actually, my brother, his name Muhammad.
So, yeah, definitely a difference. That's his brother. Do you have a little bit of the scoop on some of the local horses?
You know, the version of Saudi Cup, it has like its own good way. It's going through like a very a type of horses there in this race. I wish to have a couple of names that was available last year, but you know, this is the industry and they're like plans and what they want to go to. But Saudi Cup is building his brand in good paths.
Ready to start? Okay, first up, we have one of the 6 runners from Japan, and the one that I personally like the most, Cafe Pharoah. Now, the main reason why I like Cafe Pharoah over all the other Japanese imports in this field is because of his like of one-turn races. The Saudi Cup is a one-turn route, and Cafe Pharoah does like 1 mile one-turn races, as shown with his dual victories in the February stakes. Now, some might be put off by the fact that he has been off the board in all 6 of his career defeats, but all of those defeats came when he either was running on 2 turns or on the turf. So I feel like this is going to play a lot more to his strengths, and we'll get a much better Cafe Pharoah.
Yeah, actually, Cafe Pharoah is, as you mentioned, he's a miler horse, and you know, he has like a 3 Group 1, 2 Group 3, and 2 listed race. We used to deal with the rating in Saudi Arabia. His rate 117, which is like good high rank. His last one was the mile champion in the Japan. So yeah, he's not easy horse, but you need to remember the straight line for the King Abdulaziz racetrack. It's very very hard for the horses. That's gonna pressure the horse to do their strength to win the race for the front stretch.
Do you think he's got it in him?
I think this is a good advantage for the local horses who they are like used to it, but still it will not be like easy for them. So as you mentioned also, Japan has 6 names. I think Japan, they are doing very hard work in this season of Saudi Cup. So if you want to go like over those horses or what.
We'll get to them soon enough.
Oh, okay.
We'll go by the draw.
Oh, okay, go.
So next up on the draw was post 10, but draw number 2. That is Country Grammar. He was second in last year's running. Since then, he has been no worse than second, but some do have their doubts considering his slightly advanced age. Also, his slight preference to the 1.25 miles, as shown with the Dubai World Cup. So if he does go back there, I'm going to definitely consider him. He definitely did a great job last year in the Saudi Cup, but it might have been slightly short for him, but he definitely is battle tested. I just like other horses more than him. Do you think that he could do better?
Country Grammar, I think this horse has improved very well in his career, so he's good at 1.8 miles and 1.25 miles distance. He has 4 listed races, 2 Group 1, 1 Group 2, 1 Group 3, with the distance that's similar to the Saudi Cup. He's the second for the previous Saudi Cup, so he has a good potential, but still not his race for my favorite.
Not your favorite. That seems to be the general consensus. This horse both drew number 3 and got post 3, so that isn't changing. Crown Pride, last year's winner of the UAE Derby, and also got to run in the Kentucky Derby. He did alright, but he definitely was set up for failure by chasing after Summer is Tomorrow. Now for me, Crown Pride, I think, is just a cut below the rest, as since the Kentucky Derby, he has been second 3 times. He always gets the lead, and he just gets caught. So something tells me that might happen again, and I don't really know much about his experience with one-turn routes. He's always been more of a 2-turn horse. Maybe that'll help him, maybe that won't, but it's going to be a bit harder.
Crown Pride actually is coming to Saudi Cup and he wants revenge for his last at the Champion Cup in Japan when he come
Oh,
like
the champions.
second.
Oh yeah, he got nailed. Yeah, he lost by a nose. That was painful.
It was with Jun Light Bolt. So he's coming. He wanted to take his revenge at Saudi Cup. What he did in the Derby, that's the Emirate Derby or the Kentucky Derby, it was amazing. But I think Japan has another name that can go over this horse.
So there's a better Japanese horse among this field. Okay, so now this one I really want to know all about the drama. Emblem Road, the defending champion of the Saudi Cup. Since then, he's only ran twice. One was in France. I do not know what they were thinking. And since then, he ran in like a 20-horse allowance race back at his home turf. He did it pretty well, but you told me that this isn't as good as he was last year.
That's what I believe. Emblem Road still not at his condition of last year. He's the winner of last Virgin of Saudi Cup, and as you mentioned, his race in France was disappointing. Actually, we love this horse, but I think Emblem Road he gonna make the road for his friend in the stable, who is Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard. Now that we're going to have a lot of fun talking about in a bit. But now we're back to Japan with Geoglyph. Geoglyph, I don't have a lot to say about this horse because he has never been on the dirt before in his life. He has had a spotty record overall. He did win the Japanese version of the first jewel of the Triple Crown, the 2000 Guineas. That was good, but since then he's been very wishy-washy. Now, I do not know how well he'll handle the dirt, but statistically, horses who have never been on dirt typically don't do their best when first introduced to King Abdulaziz.
He never been in dirt, but actually his trainer bring his horse like the most earliest horse in the Saudi field was to prepare him for this race, actually for the dirt, for this race course. This horse have won 2 races at the same distance, and the other one was he has like a group 1 and a group 3, as you mentioned. Japan Guinness, he's the winner for that race. His rate 119, which is puts him like in good rank, and don't forget what Meshrif has done like at the second Virgin. He's like a turf horse, and he did well in the dirt. It could be like another horse, same story.
A Mishrif story. The only difference was that Mishrif did already have a previous experience in the Saudi Dirt Derby the year before he ran in the Saudi Cup, but at the same time, he didn't have any experience before that, and he still was able to make it work. That is a fair point, and yeah, you brought up Geoglyph has trained earlier than everyone else, so he has time to adjust to it. Whether that's enough, we'll find out. I am on the skeptical side, but that is something I did not know, that Geoglyph had more time on the dirt than all the other Japanese imports. Jun Light Bolt. We brought this guy up, and we were talking about Crown Pride, as this horse got the nose bob on poor Crown Pride. Now, statistically, Japan has always wanted to bring their Champions Cup winners to Saudi, and they've done it with Chryso Barrow first, and every year after that they've tried, and they have not had a lot of luck. I think that's just down to the fact that the Champions Cup is just a completely different race and configuration. Yeah, it might be a mile and an eighth, but it's 2 turns, not a sharp 1-turn route like King Abdulaziz is. Does that sound about accurate?
Totally correct. This is my favorite of the Japanese horses.
What do you like about him?
His body. He has very strong body. He has, this horse. If there is no Saudi horses gonna win this race, especially for me, either to be Taiba or Scotland Yard, I want this horse to win the race. Actually, for me, this is gonna make another story for Saudi Cup at the west side of the hemisphere. So it's gonna be like the story of Saudi Cup in Japan and all that side of the world. That's what I wish. He already run the same distance, the mile and 3/16 and mile and 8. So I like this horse. I wish if it's not like Saudi horse, this horse I want to be.
All right, you definitely have a lot more faith in this guy than I do. A toned body goes a long way in your eyes. It seems like we are towards the end of the Japanese horses. We have last year's dead-heating Dubai Turf winner, sharer, Panthalassa. Now, something I did not know about this horse is that he did actually have 1 attempt on the dirt. It did not go well. He was 11th. That was not good, and that doesn't exactly instill confidence in me. I have not seen the replay of that dirt race, but there's not too many ways to run a good 11th place finish. Is there any hope for Panthalassa, or do you think he should have gone to the turf?
Actually, Panthalassa has been come at the second in the Tino show. It's one of the most important race in Japan. Whose was in front of him? Equinox, I think.
I think Equinox, something like that.
Which is the strongest horse in Japan. So very good horse, And also he has like a four wins at like a group 1, group 2, group 3 listed. So this horse has potential. I think Japan has come with the good names.
They've come loaded, but I'm definitely not going to lean towards Panthalassa in this case. Oh yeah, we'll talk about Vin De Garde soon enough. Number 8, Remorse. This horse has been a frequent Dubai participator, I guess similar to Military Attack a few years ago. I'm blanking on some of the other Dubai runners who have come down here, but Remorse I would never say was the best of the Dubai runners. He was always a bridesmaid going into last year's Dubai World Cup, and this year he's only slowed down, so I don't have a lot of faith in this guy. How do you think Dubai horses handle King Abdulaziz?
Dubai, they have priority for their race, which is after 1 month of Saudi Cup, which is the Dubai Cup. So all their like heavy load, they want to keep it for that race. And also Dubai Cup has hold of a brand older than Saudi Cup, so they want to keep all their good horses for their race. For Ramos, he's like a Dubawi son. He's has run the distance and only won one race. Has been like a 6th in Dubai Cup last Virgin, but you know, he was the 3rd in the Almokhadm challenge, which is also good for this horse. But yeah, I didn't believe that he can do something.
So, are you saying that they would never pick their best Dubai horse to go here? So this is kind of like
until now, yes, but maybe it could be. I think the Dubai Cup gonna like wider their like a breed to have like some of them for Saudi Cup and some of them for Dubai Cup.
Maybe not this year, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of the locals, this is the big favorite from Saudi Arabia, and we've mentioned him in passing. The next possible big Saudi star, Scotland Yard. If I have to say something, he's been coming into this race just as fiercely as Emblem Road was, if not better, taking the... is it the custodian, the Holy Mosques?
Mosque, with 8 lengths almost, and
very destructive.
Yeah, this horse actually very improving from maiden to Group 1, and then to the Holy Mosque, which is a Group 1 as well. So he has like one Group 1 local and the Holy Mosque custodian cup, which is the one that can qualify him to the Saudi Cup. This horse can do a lot in this like race of Saudi Cup. I think the team of the Highest Prince of Saudi, Saud bin Salman, they are doing very well of like choosing their horses. They don't have like a big number of horses at their stable, but they are picking their horses carefully, and their results overall, they are doing very efficient job, I will say.
It's quality over quantity. Is it no coincidence that they picked a quality road son and shipped him over here the same way they did with Emblem Road, picking the same sire?
Okay, the sire now it's favorite for them, especially their like experience. It can prove for them it's favorite for them, but I think still they are gonna look to the other factors.
That's a good point. And would you say that Scotland Yard looks better than Emblem Road did last year? Is he coming in even hotter than he was?
Actually, Emblem Road wasn't. He was good to be at Saudi Cup last year, but he wasn't the favorite or the like the one that's we are looking for him at the Saudi Cup. He was like the surprise for us, even for us as Saudis.
He wasn't even the locals' favorite pick?
His friend in the race was making miracles. It was the favorite actually, and you know that's the horse we were expecting if he gonna do something in Saudi Cup for the previous for the last year, but he did like the different and the opposite exactly.
So pleasant surprise having him win instead of making miracles. Now for the favorite, Taiba. This is the kind of race that Zidane has always wanted to win. This is his dream race to win his home country's biggest race, so why not get it with a horse like Taiba? I've always thought of him as a slightly short router, akin to what they had with Charlatan a few years ago. And Charlatan, he did good, but he just missed out. Is Taiba going to get caught in the same trap as Charlatan was? Or do you think he actually has enough in him to go one better?
Taiba has high potential to do good in this race. He's a dirt horse. He ran the distance. He has a good experience and with a good age. So this horse, I think he's in perfect spot at everything. He won like a 3 Group 1 race. He was in the biggest battle in the world with like a flight line, which is can make him ready for such a race. His last win at the Malibu stake, which is a Group 1 race, that's a good evidence that he's ready for this race.
There's evidence for this race. Number 11 in the draw, Vin De Garde, the last of the Japanese imports. Just like with the last one we talked about, Panthalassa, this horse has basically no experience on the dirt whatsoever. I don't actually remember much about their official achievements back home in Japan. I know they at least had one major victory in there. How long have they been training on the dirt? Have they been training on it as long as some of the other Japanese horses?
I'm not sure about Vin De Garde. He made one Group 2 race, and he's a miler horse. He made like the third at Dubai Turf.
Oh, he was just behind Panthalassa in that dead heat.
Yep, that's right. So there is like a more stronger horses than this horse in this race. I will say that. That's my point of view.
Outcompeted and a bit older. The next two are also local Saudi horses. We got two mares to round out this field.
This is the only two mares in the race.
Yep, akin to Midnight Bizu in the inaugural running, except these are local mares, and they're ready to show the boys who's boss in Saudi Arabia. Now, these two kind of, I think, work well together in a sort of tandem pick, because these two have squared off against each other before and have their own sort of strengths. Lagertha Rhyme and Sunset Flash, from what I know of those two, Lagertha Rhyme has not gone the 1.125 distance and has stayed shorter. Meanwhile, Sunset Flash is older, more experienced. She has a 1.125 race in her past. Hasn't she run at King Abdulaziz over like 30 times or something?
I was trying to look at why they choose this two mare to be in this race, because there is also a good stallion, I would say, that who they didn't invite him to the race, like electability.
Electability. I really thought he was going to be in this race, but they chose these two.
They choose these two because they want to measure the mares at Saudi Arabia. That's what I think. They want to know the good quality of the mares that's available in Saudi Arabia. Especially for Lagertha, she has like the highest point. We count point for horses in Saudi Arabia. So she has the highest points for the mare for the season. So she is considered the best mare in our season. She won like 6 races in a row. Last race was Group 2. It's a local Group 2. It's still not like a international Group 2, but I think next couple of years gonna be international Group 2. But she won that race. It's a Prince Sultan Group 2 race. I think this mare can do a lot in this race. If I want to go to the Sunset Flash, she never won any race listed. Actually, she won 6 races, and one of them was the Gulf Cup. This is the last race she won, which is also, this is one of the, we can consider it one of the important race for the mares in Saudi Arabia. She was the 5th in the Riyadh Speed last year. So those two mares, I think they are in this race for measuring the quality of the mares in Saudi Arabia. That's my point of view, actually.
Do you think that Lagertha Rhyme, what do you think cost her the Gulf Cup against Sunset Flash? Because Sunset Flash, on paper, didn't look as good as Lagertha Rhyme, but despite that, she was able to get the jump on her, and Lagertha Rhyme never caught her in that final race. So do you think that Sunset Flash won fair and square, or do you think that there's something that Lagertha Rhyme has that could give her the edge in the Saudi Cup by comparison?
I feel like a middle between those two mares. For me, I love Lagertha Rhymes. I love it more like if I'm compared between those two mares, but also I want for Sunset Flash to do something well because his rider, Sail Sarhani, he's apprentice last year, and this year he's in Saudi Cup, which is very important for the Saudi jockeys. I want for this jockey to do well in this race because he gonna prove something for his colleagues. So there's a lot of factors. It's I need to look at it when I consider a name. I wish all the good for those names. It's a very important event for the racing industry in Saudi Arabia. We have a good meet, and this is gonna be built for something in future. Actually, hopefully, very good races for Saudi horses.
Yeah, we hope for a good racing starting tomorrow, which might be when I get this video up on Friday. I did not know anything about a little bit of an underdog story, a apprentice jockey now riding in the richest horse race in the world. That is an interesting factor right there. Asil Asharani. I tried my best. So
you do it correctly, actually.
Oh, wow, okay. So that's all the horses in here. So what are our 3 picks? I'll start first. I think if I had to pick my 3 favorites in this race, they are Cafe Pharoah, Scotland Yard, and Taiba. Those are definitely the horses that are most prepared to handle this speedy short route distance and make it their advantage. Who do you got? Who do you think?
For me, I will go with the Scotland Yard as like my favorite for this meet. Taiba is the second. If none of those two, I need Japanese. I want one of the Japanese horses do well in this race. That's very important for Saudi Cup, which is my favorite of the Japanese as the Jun Light Bolt. So that's my point of view of wishing for the Japanese doing well in this race.
So very overlapping, but our third choices change. I went with the Japanese Cafe Pharoah, but you went with Jun Light Bolt. May the best Japanese horse, or honestly just may the best any horse anywhere win in this race. So similar, yet so different. That concludes this Saudi Cup analysis. This is Nathan Klein, and you are?
Mohanad Almokhadm.
And hope your guys' picks of the Saudi Cup go as well as ours. Tell us who you're picking in this race, and we will see you on the flip side. Ciao.